It's time again for the Science Bowl.
Zoo Parade for 5. What big teeth the hippo has are actually a pair of these. Science Potpourri for 10. Would a snake most likely eat every day? Every week, Dateline Science for 10. Why are some elephants wearing necklaces these days? Green things for 15.
And now, here's your host, Mr. Z himself, Dave Zarin.
Thank you and welcome to this special edition of Science Bowl. The two teams you're about to meet have won our game before this season, and today we'll decide who moves on as the second of the final 4 in this year's elementary school competition. Who will join Avalon? Let's meet our teams right now. First, from Rosaryville Elementary School, we say hello to Christopher Branch, Zoe Jones, and Sierra Owens. And from University Park Elementary School, say hello to Owen Roy, Olivia Martin, and Nelson Lotz. And now here are the categories of questions we use on Science Bowl.
Okay, Mr. Z, here's today's categories. Green things, questions about plants and all things green and growing. Zoo Parade, a Noah's Ark of questions about animals. Body systems, we'll see how much you know about yourself, about things like breathing and growing and digesting your food. Let's get physical. Questions that test your knowledge of physics and chemistry, earth science and space science. Then there's Science Potpourri. Here's a grab bag of science questions, everything from air pollution to the kitchen sink. And finally, Dateline Science. We'll ask you about science history and science in the news.
Here on Science Bowl, our game board reflects question difficulty with the questions on the left, the easier ones worth 5 and 10 points, the tougher ones worth 15, 20, and ultimately 25, the toughest of them all. Both of our teams start out at 50 points apiece. No penalties ever for incorrect answers. At the end of the 2 rounds today, we will have the second of our final 4 in this year's elementary school competition. Let's make sure everything's working properly. Zoe, would you try your buzzer for me? Thank you. Good luck to you, to Christopher, and to Sierra. And Olivia, try yours, please. The green one looks like it's in good shape. Good luck to you, Nelson and Owen. And just congratulations for having made it this far in the competition. You are elite players, all 6 of you, and it's great to have you back. Let's have a good game. We go alphabetically R before you. So Rosaryville, Zoe, let's play the bowl.
Body systems for 15.
Body systems for 15 points to start out our show. Teams, scientists just recently have converted an epidermal cell to a cardiac cell without having to go all the way back to what elemental controversial cells first. University Park?
Stem cells?
Stem cells, yes. First time they didn't have to go to a stem cell to move to a more differentiated cell. Excellent. Go green.
Let's get physical for 10.
Let's get physical for 10 points. Teams, your question is as follows. What chemical element that alloys with zinc and tin to make brass and bronze is usually associated with pennies? Rosaryville.
Copper.
Copper is the metal. Absolutely right. It's chemical symbol Cu. Good work there with Sierra and Zoe and Christopher. Go.
Green things for 15.
Green things, 15 points. Your question is as follows. One pundit says the national flower of America is not the rose. It is rather the concrete version of this lucky plant because, Rosaryville?
The shamrock.
The shamrock, absolutely right, or the 4-leaf clover, because it looks like the on and off ramps on all of our highways, the concrete, clover leaf, or shamrock. Good answer. Red.
Zoo Parade for 20.
Zoo Parade, 20 points, teams. We all know about the canary in the coal mine alerting miners to dangerous gases, but in Russia, in order to alert them to air pollutants, they're using what terrestrial gastropods? Snails, absolutely right, University Park. They're using them, and they're using crayfish to monitor pollution in the waterways. So they're making the animals work over there in the former Soviet Union. All right, 85-75, go green.
Dateline for 10.
Dateline for 10 points. Teams, your question is as follows. The Russians now say that in the year 2036, Apophis will hit planet Earth. Apophis is the size of 2 football fields and is what kind of celestial body? Rosaryville.
A star.
Not a star, no. Apophis is what kind of celestial body that the Russians say could collide with Earth in the year 2036? What do you think?
A meteor?
An asteroid. An asteroid is what we were looking for there. Try again, please. Green.
Science Potpourri for 10.
potpourri for 10 points. Teams, you know we human beings can make food. We can culture yogurt, we can make wine, we can bake bread. And now a scientist is trying to culture, using myoblasts, embryonic cells, this kind of food that will please carnivores. Rosaryville.
Meat.
Meat, yes, imagine that. Grown meat in the laboratory, taking the place of cows and pigs. A strange concept. We'll see how far that goes. All right, 85 all, tie score. Red, please.
Body systems for 10.
Body systems for?
10.
10 points. Question is as follows. Multiple choice question. If you suffer from exophthalmia, do you have an extra toe, an outie belly button, or bulging eyes? University Park.
Bulging eyes.
Bulging eyes. Ophthalmia. Op was your clue there, which Nelson and Owen and Olivia picked up on. Go. Green.
Zoo parade for 10.
Zoo parade for 10 points. Teams, your question is as follows. Rango, the chameleon, voiced by Johnny Depp in the animated movie. Before he went to the Wild West, he lived in what kind of glassed-in habitat? University Park.
A greenhouse.
Not a greenhouse. No, not a greenhouse. What kind of glassed-in habitat did that chameleon live in before he left for the Wild West? Rosaryville?
A tank.
A terrarium. A terrarium is what we were looking for. Both of you were close, but not quite. Judges agreed? Go green, please.
Zoo parade for 5.
Zoo parade for 5 points. Seems your question is as follows. Teenagers that like to hang around shopping malls are sometimes likened to what rodents? Rosaryville. What do they call them, Zoe?
Rats.
Rats, mall rats. That's right, for 5 points. Go red.
Green things for 20.
Green things for 20 points. Teams, your question is as follows. The giant Rafflesia plant that lives in Southeast Asia smells like rotten meat, but it has no leaves, no stems, no roots. It's not carnivorous, so the only way it can make its living is to be one of these. Rosaryville?
Herbivore.
No, it's not a herbivore. You may indeed. The Rafflesia, a giant plant that lives in Southeast Asia and smells like rotten meat, has no leaves, no stems, no roots, is not carnivorous, so the only way it can make its living is as a what?
Photosynthesis?
No, it's a parasite. It's a parasite. It's a parasite. That's what we're looking for. The buzzer has rung. What a quick round that was. Rosaryville, you're at 90. University Park, 95. Tough questions, but even tougher competitors. We'll be back with this important game in just one moment. Don't you go away. And welcome back to Science. Well, thank you for spending part of your day with us. You know, there are few students who play this game as well as these 6, the teams from Rosaryville and University Park. Back and forth, very sharp young people testifying to all the hard work they have put in. You are all just wonderful. Nice to have you guys here with us today. Rosaryville, tell us a little bit about Rosaryville. Some people are watching for the very first time. First of all, where is it?
In Upper Marlboro.
Upper Marlboro, and it's a relatively new school. I remember when it was dedicated. Who's the principal of that down there?
Miss Rhonda Green.
Miss Green. And the sponsor of your team is Miss Bartlow, Miss Denise Bartlow. And she couldn't be prouder because this is the first year Rosaryville has been with us in our 25 years on the air. And what a splash you guys have made. You've really energized our game this year. Tell us about any alternates on your team.
Zaria Downing, Cameron Mickens, Justin Walker, Dante Faison, Taylor Jones, and Ronique Thomas.
And they were all listening to hear that you got their names and their last names right, and you got them all. Boy, you've got a good memory there, and they appreciate that, Zoe. Tell us how you got to be made, how you were made the captain of the team.
We took a vote. We took a vote and we wrote it down, and everybody chose. They said they wanted me to become captain.
Well, they chose well. You're an excellent captain. Tell me about your future. What do you want to do?
I want to become a lawyer.
A lawyer, yes. You'll be very good at that. You're well-spoken and you're thoughtful, and you'll be very good at that. Christopher, nice to have you here, young man who is very interested in lacrosse. Now, what school might you want to play for someday?
Hopkins, Johns Hopkins.
Yeah, boy, they're a powerhouse, aren't they?
Yeah.
And lacrosse is a great sport, but how did you first get interested in it?
Just the point that my parents told me that it was a good thing. It's very athletic, and I like it, and that you can get easy scholarships because not many people play it.
Right. And of course, it's important not only that your parents want you to do it, but you've got to like it and have a talent for it. So obviously, you've got it all going for you. And I know you read a lot, and obviously, you're a great science student. Nice to have you back. Sierra, young lady who likes to watch. What are those TV shows with the fashion runways?
Project Runway and America's Next Top Model.
Top Model. And you'd like to be a fashion designer someday?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you doodle right now. You draw things. You make outfits on napkins. And I hope you're saving all those. Keep those in your portfolio so someday when you go to one of those big fashion houses, you can see how I started out? I think everybody starts out that way. Nice to have you back. University Park, great team. 4-time champion in Science Bowl in our 25-year history. I know they'd like to round that off to a nice 5. One more for the hand, maybe. Olivia, tell us about University Park. Who's your principal?
Miss Nancy Schickner.
Miss Schickner. And the sponsor of your team?
Is Mr. Favero.
Mr. Favero. He's been with us for many, many years, and he always sends us top-notch teams, and he lives and breathes Science Bowl. And you're wearing those nice matching shirts over there. And for those of you that can't see quite so well at home, right in the center of each one is one of the category pictures that we have here on our game board, and they look just terrific, and I know Mr. Favero was responsible for that. So talk about fashion, Sierra. Mr. Favero is a good fashion designer too. Olivia, tell us about your future.
Well, I want to design probes at NASA, and I want to design a probe that can withstand the acid on Venus so we can find out what it's like.
Yeah, because you said that the Russians had sent a probe, but what happened to them?
It lasted about 60 seconds,
60
and then
seconds.
the acid got to it.
So a pretty hostile place. So we've got to design something. You've got to design something to withstand all those elements. Before I leave you, tell me any alternates on your team.
Maria Kisker, Charlie Dawson, and Nora Stewart.
Wonderful, and we'll recognize them and Mr. Favero in just a few moments. Nelson, nice to have you here. You were telling me you have a great interest in Minoan culture. Now, that's not something that you hear every day from a young person. What triggered that interest?
Well, I first got interested in mythology, which led me to archaeology. So, I looked up a bunch of the Romans and the Mayans and the Greeks. And then I got this big timeline of the world for one Christmas a while ago, and it has the Minoans on it. So I did a little research, and I found out that they're on Crete, and they seemed really interesting to me.
I think that's great. And mythology is just one of those attractive subjects. It's kind of like dinosaurs and things. It's something we can never know because it occurred so far back. But the stories, while not true, certainly have a ring of truth to them. Nice to have you with us. Owen, nice to have you here. Tell us about Owen. What do you do in your spare time?
Well, I do a lot of swimming almost every day because it's all indoors. And
where do you swim?
Fairlands Aquatic Center.
Yeah. Are you on a swim team?
Yes, I am.
And what's your best swimming stroke?
Freestyle.
Freestyle, very good. All right, boy, I'm a lifelong swimmer myself, and I think it's just great exercise, so I'm glad to hear that you enjoy that. What do you want to do when you get older?
I want to be an inventor or scientist, and I aspire to go to University of Maryland and take at least one class my dad teaches there.
Yeah, and you told me he teaches at Family Science. I know how proud he is of you representing University Park, and I know you'll be a great student at the home of the Terrapins someday. Let's get back into our game. 90 for Rosaryville, 95 for University Park. A very important game. Lots of points to give away. Zoe, start us out.
Body systems for 20.
Body systems for 20 points. Teams, cats can get through very narrow spaces and right themselves and land on their feet because this bone, the clavicle, is not attached to other bones as it is in a human being. I'll give you the points if you can tell me the other more common name for the clavicle bone. University Park.
The hip bone?
Again?
The hip bone?
Not the hip bone. Good try. The clavicle bone is unattached to anything in a cat, which is why it can squeeze through tight spaces and right itself and land on its feet. It's attached in us. This clavicle is also known as, more commonly, as what kind of bone?
The neck bone.
The collarbone. The collarbone is the clavicle. Good try. Both teams, no points, go red.
Green things for 10.
Green things for 10 points. Teams, the alligator pear, as it is sometimes called, is also known as the most caloric of the fruits and is eaten by the millions on Super Bowl Sunday in the form of guacamole. Rosaryville.
Avocados.
Avocados, that's right. sometimes known as alligator pears. Go red.
Body systems for 5.
Body systems for 5 points. Teams, if you're about to cry, this body part sometimes quivers, but in Britain they keep a very stiff upper what? University Park?
Lip.
That's absolutely right. Good. Olivia.
Zoo parade for 15.
Zoo parade, 15 points. Teams. Paper lice and the larvae of certain beetles just love to eat reading material, which is why collectively they are known as these. University Park.
Bookworms.
Bookworms, that's right. Owen knew that one. He said, come on, push that buzzer. Good, go. Green.
Dateline science for 15.
Dateline for 15 points. Teams, your question is as follows. The Kepler space telescope that NASA designed has found 54 Earth-like planets surrounding stars in our galaxy. Amazing. Since they are in an area where it's not too hot and not too cold so life may exist, that zone is named for what nursery rhyme character who had a thing with 3 bears? University Park.
Goldilocks.
The Goldilocks zone. Absolutely right. Good. Go.
Let's get physical for 15.
Let's get physical for 15 points. Teams, if you are outside on a really cold day and you sit down and your backside gets into the snow, the heat will rapidly leave your body and go down into the snow. Is that heat transfer known as radiation transfer? Convection? University Park?
Convection.
Not convection. That heat transfer from your butt to the snowy ground, is that radiation, convection, or conduction?
Conduction.
It is conduction, that's right. One solid surface against another. Good comeback. Go, red.
Science potpourri for 15.
Science potpourri, 15 points. Your question is as follows. A recent bestseller by the author Oliver Sacks was about men on 2 South Sea islands, all of whom could not distinguish red from green. He called his book, University Park?
Colorblind?
Yes, The Island of the Colorblind. Good, go. Olivia.
Let's get physical for 5.
Let's get physical for 5 points. Teams, because our atmosphere distorts incoming starlight, it makes it do this, which makes it look like diamonds in the sky. University Park.
Twinkle?
They twinkle. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, because of the interference of our atmosphere. Yes, indeed. 150 to 115. Rosaryville, let's jump right back in here. Come on, Olivia, pick one.
Dateline for 5.
Dateline for 5 points. Teams, in his recent State of the Union address, President Obama said, we should honor, just like the winners of the Super Bowl, the winners of these. University Park.
Packers?
No. Rosaryville, President Obama said, we should honor at the White House, just like the winners of the Super Bowl, the honors of these science extravaganzas that take place in schools.
STEM fairs.
STEM fairs, yes, or science fairs, absolutely right. Good. Red.
Body systems for 25.
Body systems for 25, the big one in that category. 2-part answer. You need both parts to get it correct. Teams, what 2 joints in your body, what 2 major joints near your metacarpals and your metatarsals, if they are broken, are very difficult to heal on their own and must have pins and sometimes glue inserted? What 2 joints am I talking about? Need both for 25 points. Rosaryville thinks they know them both.
Your shoulder and your knee.
Shoulder and knee. No. What 2 joints near your body's metacarpals and metatarsals, if broken, oftentimes have a very difficult time healing and must be pinned or glued together?
Can I give this to Owen?
You may.
Wrists and heels.
Wrist and heels.
Ankles. Sorry, ankles.
Judges? Yes, we will give that to you. Absolutely right. The wrist and the ankle. Good, go. Green.
Science potpourri for 5.
Potpourri for 5 points, teams. Pizza Hut's new pizza is named for this group of stars that sounds like a ladle and ports toward the North Star. University Park.
The Big Dipper?
The Big Dipper, yes. The dipping strips that they're advertising. Yes, the Big Dipper pizza. All right, green again.
Green things for 5.
Green things for 5 points. Teams, Nissan's new hybrid electric car is named for these so-called solar panels that are found on all plants. Rosaryville.
The leaves.
The leaves. That's called the Nissan Leaf. Absolutely right. Thank you, Chris. Go, Zoe.
The potpourri for 20.
Potpourri for 20 points. Now that detectives can take fingerprints from fabric for the first time, it has revolutionized this branch of science popularized, University Park?
Forensic science.
Forensic science, yes, indeed, as popularized on CSI. Go green.
Let's get physical for 20.
Let's get physical for?
20.
20 points. The question is as follows. Teams, long thought to be just a speck of negative charge, this fundamental atomic particle was the first to be discovered. The first to be discovered, University Park.
Electron.
The electron is right, yes.
Dateline science for 20.
Dateline for 20 points. Teams, the very first plant hormone, auxin, was discovered by this man and his son, who is better known for his theories of natural selection and evolution.
Charles Darwin.
Charles Darwin, yes. He was notable for things other than evolution, but certainly that is what has defined him historically. Go again, green.
Dateline for 25.
Dateline for 25 points. Teams, prior to 1995, this childhood disease was just part of growing up. But now it is quite rare. Name that childhood disease, Zoe.
Chickenpox.
You got it. 25 points. Chickenpox. Go.
Zoo parade for 25.
All right, let's check the score before we go there. Rosaryville 150, University Park 240. We have 4 questions left. Your choice is?
Zoo parade for 25.
Zoo parade for 25. Here's the question, teams. We know that the microscopic creature known as an amoeba harbors bacteria inside, so it can be dangerous. It is almost like what kind of wooden animal that the Greeks used? Rosaryville?
Termites.
Not termites, no. It's almost like what kind of wooden animal that the Greeks used to get into Troy?
The Trojan horse.
The Trojan horse is what I want to hear. Yes, good, go.
Green things for 25.
Green things, 25 points. Teams, your question is as follows. Look at the monitor in the studio, please. If you have difficulty discerning what this is, you're not alone. This is a loofah that you can use to take a bath with. And some people get them made from sponges, but this one is made from a plant, a loofah, which is a kind of squash. The only thing that's left after it is cleaned is what kind of vascular tissue that takes the water from the soil and takes it up into the plants. Name that vascular tissue.
The root.
Not the root. What kind of vascular tissue, Rosaryville, is all that's left in this loofah that's used to bathe with? It's the part that takes the water from the soil and the roots up into the plant.
The stem.
The xylem. The xylem. That's why it was a 25-point question. Again, please, green.
Science potpourri for 25.
Potpourri for 25. Big one in that category. Teams, they've discovered a new creature living in the Great Salt Lake in Utah. Hasn't been named yet. They've asked the children of Utah, give it a name. Not like Fluffy or Rover. All scientific names have what 2 parts that they have to provide? What 2 parts, University Park?
Genus and species.
Genus and species. Absolutely right. Last question of the game. Let's get physical for 25 points. Look at the monitor, please, again. Last question, last picture. There are 2 beakers there. Yeah, we're tricking you. There is one hidden inside the other. Reason being, the first beaker is filled with oil. And since oil and glass, yes, University Park.
Can I give this to Owen?
You may.
Since light travels through them at a different speed, the light changes, it is distorted or refracts.
You got that right, young man. That's the word we wanted to hear, refraction. And with that, that brings us to the end of the game. Owen, you are the hero there. We'll be back with a wrap-up in just a moment. Don't you go away. And welcome back. We hope you enjoyed this game at home. Before we go any further, let's just give a nice round of applause to everybody that's involved in these games. Clap for each other. You played a super game today. At this stage, nobody loses on Science Bowl at this level of the competition. What excellent playing today, and I couldn't be prouder of all of them. Our final tally today, Rosaryville 150, University Park 315. University Park, you are now the second of our final 4 joining Avalon. We will see you in the finals, Owen and Olivia and Nelson and Mr. Favero, and also Nora and Charlie and Maria. We'll see you there. Thank you for wearing matching shirts today. Rosaryville, thank you for wearing matching shirts. Thank you for giving us a season we'll never forget. First time ever on our show, and look at this, you made it almost to the final. Christopher and Zoe and Sierra, congratulations. And also their shadow team back there, Ronique and Justin and Cameron and Zaria and Dante and Taylor. And hiding back there, and she shouldn't, the very proud and very accomplished Miss Denise Bartlow. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time as we continue our competition here on Science Bowl. Bye-bye.